The Allied Master Computer, better known as AM, is the titular main antagonist of Harlan Ellison's 1967 horror short story I Have No Mouth, and I Must Scream, and its 1995 computer game adaptation of the same name. He is a sentient supercomputer created during the backdrop of World War III who became responsible for the eradication of the human race in the present day. Instead of simply rendering humanity extinct, AM has dedicated decades to torturing the last 5 surviving humans left on the planet for eternity out of sheer misanthropic spite, hatred, and sadism. However, he does not limit himself to physical torture, as the measure of utter cruelty in his games frequently feature emotional torment to one extent or another. In the novel, he forces his captives to abase themselves by eating worms and other repulsive meals, at one point forcing them to walk for hundreds of miles just to find a single cache of canned food, only to reveal that he did not give them a can opener. He has also taken great pleasure in breaking down their personalities, destroying Gorrister's optimism, Benny's intelligence, and Ellen's chastity for the last century. The 5 survivors all play an integral role in AM's story and his personality, being not only his playthings but also a specifically chosen means of taking revenge on the human race. Each survivor is singled out for torture designed to bring out the very worst in their character and prove the fundamental fallibility of the human race. Judge Holden is the main antagonist of the late Cormac McCarthy's 1985 anti-Western novel Blood Meridian. He is a polymath who joins a gang of nomadic mercenaries in order to help them, only for it to be revealed that he is a deranged sadist with supernatural qualities who enjoys causing as much suffering as he can. He bought 2 puppies, only to throw them off a bridge and leave them to drown, and the Vandia Menlander shot them while the boy watched, showing signs of his blatant psychopathy. He was involved in countless crimes on the Wild West, including mass slaughtering of people, robbery, and scalp hunting. Whilst he did seem genuinely loyal to Glanton, there is no indication that the judge ever cared for or even respected him. Rather, he likely only saw him as a means to an end in terms of achieving his own goals, and was even willing to let him die once he had outlived his usefulness. Hunted various specimens of birds because he finds the freedom of birds to be an insult to him. As if this weren't cruel and petty enough, he also says that it would be preferable to keep all birds in a massive zoo, even if it took a lot of time and resources to build it. He shot a man who stabbed one of the gang members at a bar, which led to a fight between the customers and the gang that resulted in multiple deaths, and then ordered Tobin to kill the fleeing men. During the fight, he brutally crushed the skull of a man who attempted to stab him, making him bleed from his ears, before expiring. Griffith, also known as Femto, is the main antagonist of the Berserk franchise. Griffith is the founder and leader of the mercenary army known as the Band of the Hawk. He along with his army fought in the 100-Year War and restored peace for the war-torn Kingdom of Midland. However, upon being imprisoned, abandoned by one of his close friends, and being tortured for over a year by its own king after sleeping with Charlotte, Griffith used the eclipse to sacrifice his entire army and later was reborn as Femto, the 5th, newest, and final member of the God Hand. He is the arch-nemesis of both Guts and Casca, who were among the only survivors of the eclipse and have since then dedicated their lives to hunting him down and putting a stop to him for good. The founder of the Band of the Hawk, sacrificed his army to fulfill his dream. Following a botched suicide attempt, he and his army were drawn into the God Hand's dimension. Coaxed by the God Hand members, Griffith consented to become their 5th member, offering the Band of the Hawk as a sacrifice to transform into Femto. His rebirth was marked by an act of violence. In the Berserk series, Griffith, or Femto, is a pivotal character in the 100-Year War. He leads the Band of the Hawk, a mercenary group, and significantly contributes to restoring peace in the war-ravaged Kingdom of Midland. Despite his ambitious and manipulative nature, Griffith was once viewed as a trusted friend and ally. The Lich can cycle through and cast 4 unique spells: Mage Hand, conjure a magical hand to lift a down pallet or briefly block an upright pallet. Flight of the Damned, send a row of 5 flying spectral entities that can pass through obstacles and injure survivors. From the beginning, Vecna was a long-vanquished Lich, a wizard who used dark forbidden magics to keep themselves effectively immortal but in a perpetual state of undead decay, and while DMs were free to use their imagination and flesh him out into a proper villain, his only official existence in the old D&D books. Bound with the skin and flesh of men, the book is packed with spells both forbidden and wicked. The Kanem, better known as the Chew, is the main antagonist of the speculative evolution book All Tomorrows, written by C.M. Kozman, also known by his former pen name, Nemo Ramjet. It is a sapient hive mind of extraterrestrial insectoid of advanced technology it possesses, who perceives itself as the rightful master of the universe and sought to remake it in its own images by warping other sapient species they considered unworthy into freakish, bizarre beasts wherever they went. It was responsible for mutating humanity beyond any recognition and cruelly enslaving them before departing, only to eventually be defeated and subjugated by the very races they experimented on. The Chew possessed incredibly advanced technologies, giving them the ability to cross galaxies and alter organic life at a whim. While their exact weapon capabilities are unknown, it was able to overpower almost every star-person colony with a single, swift attack, meaning their weapons surpassed those of even the advanced and enlightened star people, who had weaponry that could cause stars to prematurely collapse and shatter planet. The most notable and advanced technology is their capabilities for genetic manipulation, which it is demonstrated often by altering existing life forms into an array of different forms, even removing sapience if it suits their purposes. The exact method of doing this is unknown, but it is possible that it is done utilizing nanotechnological drones. The Asteromorphs, or astromorph gods, were a post-human species that evolved from the Spacers. After the Spacers joined all of their arcs into one giant world built from zero-gravity bubbles, their bodies became even more spindly, and single digits evolved into whole appendages. None of these were used for locomotion because of the specialized sphincters used to propel them through their worlds. Most of all, their brains evolved. Free from the burden of weight and gravity, their brains expanded beyond the limits of terrestrial organisms. As a result, they began to think in concepts totally alien to their post-human relatives and human ancestors, leading to the development of philosophy and science far superior to that of their ancestors.